demand also, right? Now, one of the issues, in fact, that's where we can just have here Ravi also, right? Because when the regulations come in, right, so we have a country to large extent, we still remain a compliance driven market, right? So you have most of the companies that will ensure that they are within the red lines of the regulations that are set in place. Now, one of the sort of opportunities that come for companies is to push the uncomfortable part outside their own premises, outside the fences, into the supply chain. And supply chain is typically much smaller in size, comprising of companies which are much smaller in size, and it becomes even bigger challenge for them because all the issues of financing and payback period and everything, they also apply on them, and in fact they apply at a bigger scale. Now, Ravi, you work with these SME companies, right?
Yeah.
Now, and
Yeah.
you typically try to help them when it comes to the water management issues, the wastewater management issues. What is the real challenge that you think they face uh, in compliance, in staying in business while trying to remain within the boundaries of the compliance?
Okay. As you rightly told, there are the drivers for SMEs to take up any of the environmental performance initiatives is definitely the compliance requirements as well as the push from the mother companies in terms of when it comes to the companies which are the part of a larger supply chain. Uh, but but whatever might be the motivation for them to take up these activities, it is always a reactive mechanism that that the SMEs follow because of major constraints with the resources and the required skills which are required for the actions to be taken, and also the system which need to be in place. So we look into this aspect into the challenges that SMEs face. We can take it as under three major headers. One is the gaps with the systems. So second one is with the guidelines and the trainings and skills required for the initiatives to be taken. There is a lacking of such availability for the MSMEs. And the third one is the constraint with the resources. So if we have to come with the systems, so even though the water management looks like installing a wastewater treatment plant and treating the wastewater which is being generated, but it is much more complex than that. So in a water management scenario in an industry is much more broader than merely just treating the wastewater which is getting generated. So it requires a system in place to set the targets for the water management, to reduce the consumption, to reduce to enhance the quality of the treated water and reduce the cost of operation when it comes to the MSMEs. So all these things has to be in place for the better water management to be taken care in a smaller industries. So the major gap that MSMEs face is the lack of such a system in place for them to drive the actions for the water management to improve the efficiency of water usage and also improve the efficiency of the water treatment facilities. So that system will not be there, and they will not be having access to such system when it comes to the MSMEs. And the second part is on the guideline part. Guideline or the guidance or the training which is required, the skill which is required for the water management. Definitely with the MSMEs, that kind of skill set will be not present. So mostly in the MSMEs, the water management or any kind of environment management initiatives are taken care by the maintenance people or the operations people whose a part of the job will be environment management. However, they'll be handling many other issues in in their day-to-day operations. So it will be very difficult for a person to take care of multiple activities along with the environment activities. So that is one thing that we feel.
I
And
think these are, of course, as you highlighted, right? So there are skill gaps, there are sort of regulatory
yeah,
confusions also that remain there. I
yeah,
think sort of also in interest of time, I think we have Dr. Somsekhar. He joined after some delay. Now what we have of course seen is the economic viability part. Now when we look into solid waste management or any other kind of waste management, one of the things that has always come out is that if we have self-sustaining systems where it can pay for itself, because in the end there are certain resources that have an economic value that always have a sort of a positive factor in adoption, in a widespread adoption of such kind of practices. Now, Dr. Somsekhar, you have implemented, right, successfully a system of resource recovery from the wastewater, which is the first in the country in many ways. Do you want to talk a little bit about what exactly the whole project was all about and why was it so special?
Uh, in this case, in the sugar industry itself, I will add something more. Uh, Before 1990, what sugar industry used to do, whatever the wastewater generated, they are simply discharging for the any agricultural activities, irrespective of the quality, quantity, etc., etc., etc. After once this Water Act came in 1980, it is 1974. Thereafter, some awareness of the treatment system, especially pharmaceutical industries, has started. Even today also, even today, 2020, most of the agro industries are discharging their wastewaters partially treated in the nearby bodies. Although they are aware that this water needs to be treated properly, and they are not understanding the importance that good water, they are making the wastewater. That between the gap, good water to make it wastewater, they have to recycle back. And for recycling of the water, there is no much investment is also not needed. But still, management side, they are underestimating the problem and tackling this that way. In Ugar, being a chemical engineer, our management, they have taken the initiative and started converting this distillery waste, which comes under highly polluting industry category, under 17 category. They have taken this subject because we heard this seminar in the 2001 in one of the distillery association meeting that milk, like milk to milk powder, this distillery effluent can be converted to this. When we started the project, almost so many distilleries, they have advised us not to go for this kind of the system. But still, management has taken initiation and started recovery of the potash. Today, 70, 80 plants are working in India, and slowly, all the sugar industries, all the distillery industries, they are following this similar kind of the system in their respective. But we are not allowed to consider this expenditure for the pollution control activities under CSR. We are getting 100% depreciation, those things are true, but they are not considering this expenditure under CSR. Because ultimately we are treating the water, giving good water back to the society, and giving good amount of the fertilizer value to the industry. That expenditure, which is maybe in the for our size, for Ugar Sugar, maybe we are 1,000 crore turnover company, but around 40 to 50 crore rupees are required for putting up this all the system. But that is not being given concession for treating properly by the government itself. So most of the distilleries, I say around 450 distilleries are there in India. So only 300 to 325 distilleries, they are following good practices. Still 150 distilleries are not following 100% effluent treatment systems in their respective area due to their own issues. So here, regulation is, of course, regulation is must, but at the same time, management awareness is also required.